Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath Radhe. Jaya Shri Gopal, Shri Gopal, Shri Gopal, Jaya Shri Gopal. Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Satshri Srimad. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashthaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Text 3. निशम्य भीष्मोक्तम् अथा अच्युतोक्तम् प्रवृत्ता विज्ञान विधूता विभ्रमा शशास गाम इंद्र इवाजिताश्रयः परिध्युपान्तम् अनुजानुवारितः अनुजानुवर्तितः निशम्य भीष्मोक्तम् अथाच्युतोक्तम् निशम्य भीष्मोक्तम् अथाच्युतोक्तम् प्रवृत्त विज्ञान विधूत विभ्रमः प्रवृत्त विज्ञान विधूत विभ्रमः शशासगाम इंद्र इवाजिताश्रयः शशासगाम इंद्र इवाजिताश्रयः परिध्युपान्तम् अनुजानुवर्तितः परिध्युपान्तम् अनुजानुवर्तितः निशम्य भीष्मोक्तम् अथाच्युतोक्तम् प्रवृत्त विज्ञान विधूत विभ्रमः शशासगामिन्द्र इवाजिताश्रयः परिध्युपान्तम् अनुजानुवर्तितः भीष्मोक्तमथाच्युतोक्तम् निशम्य भीष्मोक्तम् अथाच्युतोक्तम् प्रवृत्त विज्ञान विधूत विभ्रमः शशासगामिन्द्र विजाजिताश्रयः परिध्युपान्तमनुजानुवर्तितः निशम्य भीष्मोक्तमथाच्युतोक्तम् विज्ञान विधूत विभ्रमः शशासगामिन्द्र इवाजिताश्रयः Mataji's word-to-word translation. Nishamya, after listening. Bhishma Uktam, what was spoken by Bhishma Dev. Atha, as also. Achyutoktam, what was spoken by the infallible Lord Krishna. Pravritta, being engaged in. Vijnana, perfect knowledge. Vidhuta, completely washed. Vibhramaha, all misgivings. Shashasa, ruled over. Gam, the earth, Indra, the king of heavenly planet, Iva, like, Ajita Ashrayah, protected by the invincible Lord, Paridhi Upantam, including the seas, Anuja, the younger brothers, Anuvartitaha, being followed by them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Translation: Maharaj Yudhishthir, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Dev and Lord Shri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus, he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. Purport: the modern English law of primogeniture, primogeniture, or the law of inheritance by the firstborn, was also prevalent in those days when Maharaj Yudhishthir ruled the earth and seas. In those days, the king of Hastinapur, now part of New Delhi, was the emperor of the world, including the seas, up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir's younger brothers were acting as his ministers and commanders of state. And there was full cooperation between the perfectly religious brothers of the king. Maharaj Yudhishthir was the ideal king or representative of Lord Shri Krishna to rule over the kingdom of earth and was comparable to King Indra, the representative ruler of the heavenly planets. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and Vayu are representative kings of different planets of the universe. Similarly, Maharaj Yudhishthir was also one of them, ruling over the kingdom of the earth. Maharaj Yudhishthir was not a typically unenlightened political leader of modern democracy. Maharaj Yudhishthir was instructed by Bhishma Dev and the infallible Lord also, and therefore he had full knowledge of everything in perfection. The modern elected executive head of a state is just like a puppet because he has no kingly power. Even if he is enlightened like Maharaj Yudhishthir, he cannot do anything out of his own goodwill due to his constitutional position. Therefore, there are so many states over the earth quarreling because of the ideological differences or other selfish motives. But like a king, like Maharaj Yudhishthir, had no ideology of his own. He had but to follow the instructions of the infallible Lord and the Lord's representative and the authorized agent, Bhishma Dev. It is instructed in the Shastra that one should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaj Yudhishthira to rule the whole world, including the seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. Only the perfect and the infallible can create a program which is applicable to every place and can be followed by all in the world. It is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. There are so many stories of imperfect kings or executive heads. Therefore, the executive head must be a trained person like Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he must have the full autocratic power to rule over the world. The conception of a world state can take shape only under the regime of perfect king like Maharaj Yudhishthir. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule over the world. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guraho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastrabdhi Piyushaha Sarva Vedaika Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratanadhya Sarva Lokaika Drikpada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kali Dhvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostute Madeka Bandho Matsangi Manguro Manmahadhana Madanistarak Madabhagya Madanando Namostute Asadhu Sadhu Tadai Nati Nichichataraka Hanamunchakadachinamam Prem Naritakantayo Spuraha Hare Krishna. So, in this beautiful chapter about departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka, in the premise, in the beginning of this chapter, there is a description of what happened after Bhishma Dev instructed Yudhishthira Maharaj. So very clearly, the verse states how after hearing, after being fully clear of all his doubts, there's always has been an allegation in the Hare Krishna movement that whenever whoever comes new is always brainwashed. So I think this verse gives us a very nice deep insight into what exactly happens, where it says Vidhuta Vibhramaha. He was washed off of all the misgivings. Yes, we brainwash, and that is, we wash all the contaminations of the brain. We are here to stand in front of the divine X-ray of the vision of Shri Radha Gopinath. As we come in front of them, as we take darshan of them, they wash you off of all your misgivings. And further, when we take the help of the scriptures, we seek shelter of devotees, further purification happens. So it's like a full full bath of purification, Maharaj Yudhishthir ruled over the entire globe, the entire water bodies. But for that, he required not only just the king requires the entire entourage. He required the gurus to instruct him. He required good followers. He required good ministers who could help him. And this has been a consistent observation all throughout the scripture, that whenever there is a king, so emphatically Prabhupada is saying that no king is allowed to have any personal motive or manufactured ideology. Srila Prabhupada always makes the purport, the reference point is in history, but then it is made relevant to our ongoing times. And it is an axiomatic truth which was true so many years back. When Prabhupada must have written this, it is almost like the 1960s. And now again in 2022, we are seeing how because of the unruly rulers who are, because of their personal motives and incapability of properly administering justice and manufactured ideology, so many innocent people are also getting affected. It's just a whole naked scene of today's politics. And what the entire stress Srila Prabhupada is giving is how a king has to be trained. A king has to be trained, and a king has to be submissive. He has to be trained properly, and he has to have a proper backing of his ministers. His help has to be very much active. It is not that he takes his decision on his own. He takes decision based on the guidance that is available to him always. Not just thinking of his, normally, sadly, because of our westernized education, whenever we hear about king, what do you normally, visualize? At least the way I studied, whenever you hear king means maja. What is that? Charo hath, give me your sar kadai. No, he's just enjoying, that's it. King means enjoyment. King means he is reaping the benefits at the cost of all the praja. But what exactly king means? The scriptures tell us. Because if there is no proper king, there won't be proper administration. There won't be proper encouragement for spiritual knowledge. How will the spiritual rituals happen? How will be the dharma protected and encouraged? For all that, what is required is an able king and his submissiveness to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. As Lord Krishna himself was the great Guru for Yudhishthir Maharaj. And as he says in Bhagavad Gita, Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya ubdekshanti tadgyanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Pariprashnena tatvidhi pranipatena. That is a system. Once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada a very, very challenging question. And Prabhupada said, why should I answer you? Who you? Many times the audience feels that they have the right to ask question in any way they want. The scriptures tell, Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seva. There is a way in which you ask question. There is a way in which you put forward your doubt. Even though the person sitting in front of you might not be of the same financial status, but he might be definitely on a greater knowledge status And if you ask a question to them, pranipatena, with proper submissiveness, pariprashnena, with proper questions. Prabhupada says, absurd inquiries and blind following, both are condemned. And then sevaya. So we see a beautiful incidents from Ramayana where there was a beautiful school, a very, very amazing and mystical school. There was a lot of multitasking happening. The teacher was very mystical. The students were very, it was the whole magic going on. And as the normal students were sitting in the class, they were wondering. I said, the teacher is so amazing, and the extraordinary student, outstanding student, he was actually standing out. How he came, as he was approaching this guru, the guru got frightened. He said, my God. He said, last time he came, he swallowed me. And the whole universe went dark. But this time as he's coming for what? Oh, he's coming and standing in full awe and reverence with his hand joined. Come for knowledge. Lord Hanuman, he went, when he was thirsty for knowledge, he went to the school of Lord Suryadev. So, did the Suryadev's chariot stop? No. He was multitasking. He was doing his work of distributing light. At the same time, he had taken up the task of sharing the knowledge that he had. And he was the best teacher. So Hanumanji wanted everything best. His Lord was the best. So he wanted a teacher the best. So he went to Lord Surya and said, please, I have come here to receive knowledge from you. Please accept me. And Suryadev was, it's like somebody who has, shown such amazing colors before as a small child. And now he's coming to accept knowledge, accept you as guru. You would want to, definitely teach him. But here, he had a problem. The problem was admissions full. The Ratha, on which Suryadev moves around, was full of people. So now, he said, I would like to have you, but it's just that I don't have place. So Hanuman said, no worries, I'll fly and I will listen. So the school began. And it is said that in 60 orbits, Lord Suryadev taught the entire Vedas. And Lord Hanuman learnt them without a blink and without any doubt. As he said, he heard and he absorbed everything. But the most amazing thing was how he did it. As the class began, just imagine you are sitting here and you are listening to the class and you just happen to see behind and you see somebody flying there, somebody floating. You wonder what's happening. And here was Hanumanji flying in the same direction of the Ratha. The Ratha goes at an amazing speed and he could match the speed. But the only problem was that while moving in the same direction, he had to put attention at the same time. There was a lot of distraction. And he felt that I am breaking the etiquette. Just remember, like if somebody is showing his back to the Guru and listening, there were so many times it's happened that, anybody who's sitting with back to the deities or Prabhupada, they say, don't show your back, sit in a little tilted position so that you don't show the back to the Guru, which is no, not to you, not to you. I'm not trying to tell everybody. So, but what did Hanumanji do? He did another feat. The most amazing feat of Lord Hanumanji, he started flying backwards and maintaining that same speed, flying at the same time, listening to the Guru without a wink. You know, when the spiritual knowledge comes in a gush, it's not easy to handle. The vibration is very, very potent. You know, you can doze off nicely, and especially in the cool climate. So here was Hanumanji with his full attention, and as he learned this beautiful scripture and the teachings from his guru, he was very, very grateful. Sevaya. He asked for what Guru Dakshina can he offer to Suryadev. And that is the time Suryadev told him that please, my son is suffering in the Rishimukh mountains. Sugriva, he has been banished from his kingdom by his own brother, and he is foaming for his, foaming at his mouth for his life because he is constantly being tortured. There is only one mountain on which Vali cannot enter. So he is there. Please go and assist him. The future king, Sugriva. And here we see a properly learned warrior going and joining. Joining whom? Sugriva as a able minister. As we also see in Ramayana that when Dashrath Maharaj was ruling the kingdom, he ruled for a long time. And for ruling, he had amazing ministers that could help him. He had a group of 8 ministers. These 8 ministers are Drishti, Jayanta, Ashoka, Vijaya, Siddhartha, Artha Sadhaka, Artha Palaka, and Sumantra. Those who have seen Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana, we've heard of Sumantra. But he had not only just that, he had 8. And what were their qualities? Amazing qualities. Just by listening to their qualities, you wonder that the minister are so qualified, how qualified must be the king? And what to speak of the gurus of the king, who have imparted knowledge to, guru means he is not just the guru of the king, he is guru of the entire, kingdom. So, there are some beautiful qualities that are enumerated in Ramayana, which talk about that they were very, very competent counselors. A counselor is one who guides according to the mental state of a person. Looking at understanding the body language, the counseling is a very deep and a very, very refined science. The ever well-wishers of the king never had personal motive. Clean character, no lust could tarnish them from deciding the right thing. They had no blemish about doubt, well educated in all the Shastras and the Niti Shastras, very renowned, very proficient. So, it's like, just imagine what amazing. It's just not that, just by some shifaris, just by some influence, somebody becomes a minister. It is not like that. They had proper qualification. Very expert in ethics and morality. Very magnanimous. Sense-controlled. I'm wondering, what it's like. Had a lot of integrity. What they did, they said. And they declared what they did. Their actions were always full of determination. Whatever had to be done for the betterment of the entire kingdom, they were always ready to do. They were very famous. Forgiving, they were expert in interpersonal sciences, the subtle nuances of the behavior, how to deal with people. They could fathom how the spies work. So very, very very, very sharp to understand what exactly happens. We remember during our Janmashtami, always, during festivals, there is always a, anti-social threat. So, especially during Janmashtami, we keep, our security in alert. And I remember the securities are so tuned to their frequency that they see and understand, and scan everything so nicely that because it is a time when you have a lot of people and to fully check everybody might not be possible. So they just see the face of a person and they see with so much gravity that anybody who comes and has a little bit ill motive, he is so much intimidated. And it actually happened that somebody came and he ran away because he had some different motive. So these ministers had full capacity to understand how the spies work because they have to, report and help the king. So it is not just jnana, it's proper vijnana to understand how things work according to human psychology. They were very just. They would not hesitate from punishing their own sons. Ramayana mentions that they were so just that if their sons were doing wrong, they would punish them. Respect to the elders. They were very loyal. They kept all the secrets. Keeping secrets is something which is very, very, you at least share with somebody. But there, they kept absolute secrecy. Apt administrators. Very skillful and capable. So these are some qualities of the administrators. With such administrators, we can imagine what kind of decision will come forth. It is not just, my own intelligence, my own understanding. It is a combination of so many intelligences working together. So when Dashrath Maharaj passed away and Ram was not there, so it is not that suddenly, we said, "Kaun hai?" Bharat Maharaj. He's the obvious choice. He said, no. They sat down, they discussed, and they decided that who should be the king. So there was an intense discussion according to the qualification of the king, and then Bharat Maharaj decided to be, and there was a message sent to him, ki Baba, come and please take the crown. So the king not only requires the guru, he requires able ministers, he requires able followers. Now here the verse mentions how Yudhishthira Maharaj was followed and was very nicely there was no difference in ideology. Their one motive was to please and serve Krishna. Everybody has, just in last chapters we saw how everybody had different opinions on whether to punish Ashwatthama or not. But the administration went smoothly because their purpose was the welfare of the kingdom and pleasure to Shri Krishna. So when Shri Krishna, for the welfare, he is the Lord who instructs them, he is the Lord who supports them, and he is the Lord who was ready to do everything for Pandavas. So when he went as a messenger for the peace, give them something. And that is the time where Duryodhan had a conspiracy. So in Kanchipuram we have one beautiful Divya Desham, which is called as Pandava Dutam. When I first time went there, I remember, it was dark. Shiva Vaishnav temples are, always lit with lamps. And we went there inside and we was looking, okay, the Utsava deities were standing in front, There was Lord Narayana, Bhudevi, Shridevi. So he said, now, just see behind is the Moolavara deity, the main deity. And I was saying, Acha. And, I have specs and I have a good number. So I was wondering, what is seen? And then the guide of us, he said, sir, not here, look up. And then I realized that there was a huge feet, and that feet had nails. And then as I saw, it looked like somebody is sitting. And almost a 20 feet deity was standing. And here was Krishna in his angry form, where he had his hands with nails, and he was sitting there angry, about to show his Vishwarupa and to show Duryodhan that, you can't cheat God. And as he's sitting, you can see from his seat, there are faces coming out. It is said that the whole was covered with a chair, with a gem-studded, asana, where Krishna was sitting. And they were about to, at the right time, they were about to explode out and catch Krishna. They were, bandi bana rahe the Bhagwan ko. But then, Krishna has the greater plan, and he crushed all of them, and he showed Vishwarupa. So there is a Pandava Dutam beautiful temple, where the Lord is ready to become a messenger. And who is a messenger? A messenger is a very, very, menial position. But here the Lord is ready to be in a menial position for his devotee, ready to do everything. Right from giving instruction, right from guiding, hand holding, everything will be done by the Lord. It's just that we have to have a submissive attitude and be ready to listen to the Lord. So here, Hanumanji is very beautifully showing how we not only absorbed remembering Lord Ram, but also after he took such amazing knowledge, he helped Sugriva to run the kingdom, thereby showing what is the importance of an able minister and a self-realized devotee. So we take shelter of Shri Radha Gopinath for following the instructions of our Guru, so that we can be able instruments at his hand and at the hands of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Anant Godi Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.